I was sitting there and it entered my mind and said, Asbel, your vision is too small. God's vision is so much bigger than you could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
You are limiting his vision in your life because you're trying to control something that he is saying, I'm in control.
But that doesn't mean we're not going to deal with tragedy, pain, loss. No, it means he can take the bitter and the beautiful and make something good out of it. Hey everyone, I'm Stephenie.
And I'm Asbel.
And we want to welcome you to another episode on A Cup of Real. And we're going to be talking about something today that everyone experiences and has to deal with from time to time. And it's more of a question. What do you do when a door closes? How do you handle the no? How do you handle when God says, not this one? How do you handle what you view?
How do you handle the closed door?
How do you handle the closed door? What you view as a rejection.
That's exactly right.
So that's kind of...
We were talking about that today, this morning, even as well. Like, you know, sometimes it's like, there was a door that was closed, like it's something that we're working on from a business perspective. And I'm just thinking, I want to ask some questions and clarifying questions just because I think the reason they gave was not attributed to the right reason. But then I also don't want to push it too much because then it could be like God saying, I closed that door for a reason. So really understanding when do you push or clarify the no or what the closed door is, or is it truly a closed door? That's kind of sometimes where I'm like...
I think it can be confusing sometimes. I know God's not the author of confusion, but our human minds can become confused because you're not sure if it's a redirection, if it's not now or if it's never,
Or if maybe it was a clarification.
Yeah,
so,
that too.
I remember this when we thought we were moving to D.C. and it was one house after another that we were losing on. And finally, once we put an offer on the seventh house and we lost that one, I think somebody outbid us by, we were asking, I think, $100,000 over. We gave $100,000 more over the asking price, and somebody else beat us out by $250,000 or something like that. And I remember saying on the seventh house, okay, God, this is not meant for us to be. I'm done with this. We're done. We are not supposed to move to D.C.
The interesting thing was, though, I knew we were moving because I was already packing. I felt it. That restless feeling I get when change is coming, but it wasn't there. I thought we were going there. I had all the plans.
Well, you wanted to go to D.C. I never wanted to go back to D.C.
Did.
I never, ever did. Now this is an area when we were talking through, like we were not on the same page, but I was leaning into it because I'm thinking maybe she's hearing something, but I did not want to move. While I go there a lot, it is not the place I ever want to live.
Yeah, like now?
Yeah. Now,
I'm so glad.
Thank the Lord.
Thank God.
He saw.
I can do ministry another way, So, it would have been the worst thing for us, catastrophic for us. But as we were talking about this, or as I was thinking about this a few weeks ago, I wanted to talk about this, but we've been busy. And recently, I had something happen to me with my books, and I viewed it as a rejection. And do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was very distraught. I was very hurt, and I did not understand why. And I remember lamenting to God, praying.
Well, let's set the story up just a bit because some people may, and we're going to be for reasons that we probably shouldn't disclose, but I want to set the story up just a little bit that you had put, to a publishing company.
Oh, yeah.
The workbook that you had just created.
Yeah.
And the publishing company rejected it for some reason.
Yeah, they rejected it.
They've never rejected any of your books before,
Never.
but they did this one, and it was just...
It didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense.
And the workbook is based off another book that I've written. It's just done in
that was approved by the publishing company. It was very interesting.
Very interesting, and I was confused. I didn't understand. And this is when I literally wished my mom was here. I think I even texted you because you were traveling. I said, man, I wish my mom was here. I would love to talk to her right now. But I will never forget sitting with God, praying, getting in my prayer closet. Yes, I did so many times because I couldn't feel a release. I was hurt. You've had those. But finally I got that release. And I felt like God was really telling me through prayer, you have always put your eggs in one basket. You have always depended on this one basket. It's been your method. It's been your channel. It's been your path. It's become your familiar place. It's become your comfort zone.
Oh, that'll preach.
I am pulling you out.
Yeah.
We're setting up some new baskets. They're not familiar. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have a hard time, Stephenie. You're not used to this, but this is something new I'm doing in you and through your ministry. And I wrote it down, and I was like crying, like, okay, God, but I was still scared. And I'm still nervous because I don't know what that means.
Well, you know what that means, though, is because God can only grow us through the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The uncomfortable. And in the uncomfortable is where change begins.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going through this, but we're all on our own journey. And so if you're listening to this today, we're still going on this. And we're on the other side of the mountain. I mean, we're both getting older.
Yes.
And so, in some people, we're kind of in either the prime of our career. Sometimes you're on the downside, because there's chapters, there's stages in your life. We're not 20 years old anymore. We're not 30 years old anymore. We're not 40 years old anymore. I mean, we're getting
up there.
So the issue is like, what God's never done with us.
Never.
When we lean into it, but we can actually get into a comfort place where it's comfortable for us. I like that. I kind of know what to expect. I know if I go down this path. And that's what he's teaching you through this and saying, Stephenie, my plans are so much bigger than your plan will ever be.
It's been a big eye-opener for me.
I love that.
But it's challenging.
Yeah.
But I no longer feel hurt anymore. I no longer am like, why? I'm not even asking why. I'm like, it's a redirection. God has something bigger and better. And now some doors are opening globally. You know, there's some stuff opening that I have dreamed about since I was a little girl. I thought I was going to be a missionary at 15, 16, 17. I can get emotional. I thought I was going to be a missionary. Well, God, I don't have to be a missionary. God can use what he's been doing in me, through me, to go there without me having to go live there. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's
because his ways are much different than we could even fathom in our own mind. Our own mind logically takes us through things.
Yeah.
It's the journey I'm on, and I am leaning into it.
It's a form of control, though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Well, because in our comfort zone, we are when we're in our comfort level, we already know. It's comfortable. Like, literally, it's comfortable. Yeah. It's like, I've known this publishing entity. I know what to expect with it. I'm used to it.
The faces,
and then when you all of a sudden start having to move into other areas, it becomes, oh my word, what is happening? Where are we moving into this? I'm talking about this right now, babe. And I told you this probably 2 or 3, it's been probably 3 or 4 weeks now, but I remember in my devotional time in the morning, God brought me to Matthew.
Yeah.
And he walked me through, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will open to you. Have not because you ask not. And the things that you ask for, sometimes you're asking amiss. And you're praying and you're asking God, open the door. I know, Father, I've laid up a store chest for, and he's like, I'm willing to give it to you, son. You're just not asking. Go out there and ask. Mm-hmm. Go out there and see. Go ahead and knock on the doors. That was hard for me because I'm like, well, Father, they should come into me. That's pride. Literally spoken to my spirit. It is pride. Well, I didn't want to admit it at first. I'm like, pride? There's nothing. I'm not pride. But it was. Mm-hmm. The reason why I was not asking is because it was my pride and fear. Well, what if they say no?
What if they say no?
How am I going to react to that? Mm. And I don't care now.
Yeah.
And I'm asking,
but they say
I'm knocking, and the doors that are opening are blowing my mind right now.
Well, and if they say no, on to the next one.
And they have.
Yeah.
Or they haven't responded, or they haven't done it. I'm like, that's okay.
That's good.
Because God said, ask.
There's another basket.
There's something else out there.
Yeah.
I remember being on, and I told this because I'm talking about the work because I love what you just talked about from here, but it's inspiring what I'm thinking about. But I remember sitting, because sometimes we dream way too small. And what God has for us is so abundant. His Bible, his scriptures say that. We oftentimes are the prohibiting factor because we don't understand the promises that he has for us. Mm-hmm. And of course, when we walk through life is not a
Rosy garden.
It isn't. Oh, boy. You just listen to some of our podcasts. We'll talk to you about what we've been through and what we still are going through.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing something from our keynote speaker at Clarity, and she made a statement that they were pursuing. She said there's 1.5 million people that bill the Medicare program in healthcare.
Right.
Bill the Medicare program. And I'm thinking, our company has less than 1,000 clients, and I'm in healthcare. I'm thinking there's 1.5 million. Sometimes we get so fixated on the few that said no to us or didn't see our value. And I'm like, I'm done with that.
That's good.
I'm not paying attention to it. It literally was a revolutionary point sitting on the stage during the interview process with her where our people were listening and I had that aha moment. It literally, the moment she said it, I was sitting there and it entered my mind and said, Asbel, your vision is too small.
Woo, that's powerful.
Your vision is too small. So if you're listening today and you're thinking about the why not, why did this happen? Why did this door shut? God's vision is so much bigger than you could ever imagine. You are limiting his vision in your life because you're trying to control something that he is saying, I'm in control.
Right.
My plan is so much bigger for you. I see way ahead. I see. And if you want to rely on me, I'm always going to be there for you. He promised us, babe, he was never going to leave us nor forsake us. Never. He never will. But I control what position he is in my life. Right. I'm done controlling.
Yeah.
God, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm not leading you, God. You lead me.
No,
right,
siree.
Right.
No, siree. I don't want anything to do with it.
We have, I think we're close to 9 billion people in the world now. But we will allow ourselves, we will diminish our dreams.
By the 1 or 2 or 4 that, yeah.
We will focus on the 1 or 2 comments.
Versus the 9 billion that are out there, people that need to hear the message that you're talking about.
I think because I've thought this way before. Sometimes we don't go after our dream or what we feel God calling us to do because we don't want to be rejected. We don't want to have a door slammed on our face. We don't want to be told no. We don't want to be denied. So I think that's a part of the reason probably why we don't want to deal with a closed door because it brings hurt. It brings pain. But I think it's Romans 8:28 says, God works all things together for those who love God and do according to his purpose. Not quoting it exactly, I'm paraphrasing it. But that doesn't mean we're not going to deal with tragedy, pain, loss, no. It means he can take the bitter and the beautiful and make something good out of it. So it doesn't mean everything's going to be, like you said a minute ago, a rosy garden. We are going to experience, and I think that grows us, though.
Well, when you look at the Holy Scriptures, Cain and Abel, they didn't have a rosy garden.
No.
Abel didn't.
No.
Cain.
His life was...
Yeah. Joseph didn't.
Yeah.
David didn't. The people that we talk about, Paul didn't. Peter, none of the disciples did.
Moses.
They were on the mountaintops and they were in the valley, but they always knew the source.
They knew the source.
And what would happen is you get self-limiting in your mind. Another story that I have is someone said something to me. This was probably 3 months ago. And I'm not going to say who it was from an anonymity perspective, but I want to tell the story so people would understand that it hits personal sometimes. I remember we were having dinner, and he said, don't you think you're posting a bit too much on your socials? It kind of seems a little overwhelming. I just see you everywhere. And I took it, at first I was thinking, that's very interesting. I don't mean to be offended, but then I began to think maybe your message is convicting. And it is, like they say, sometimes your message sparks someone else's demons in their life. They don't like the message of grace. They don't like that leading from grace. They don't like that.
Yeah.
And instead of internalizing it, I begin to look on it with sympathy. I would have, the old me would have shrunk back in thinking, oh, you know what? See, Asbel, this was the whole issue. This was the reason why you shouldn't have put yourself out there. But I'm thinking in the uncomfortable conversation, I'm thinking that's okay.
Yeah.
There's 9 billion people in this world, and maybe that message isn't for him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not ready. That's okay.
And
that's okay. It's literally okay.
That's what I'm learning through that is that's where the unfollow button comes in handy.
Yeah.
I can choose who I want to follow, who I don't want to follow. And if someone says something to me kind of derogatory like that, someone said something to me similar, not exactly that, I went and I prayed. I said, God, is this too much? If it is, I want, show me. Because maybe you're trying to grow me out of being on this constant topic, I don't know. So I do that too sometimes. I wouldn't call that internalizing. I will sometimes be like, God, show me. Because sometimes I do need to be, not all criticism is bad. Sometimes it is good to look within. But I want to hear from people who really care about you, like constructive criticism. Don't you agree?
That they know
there's a difference between
it's meant to be in what spirit was it done in?
What spirit
and
was
I
it done
could catch
in?
immediately through wisdom and discernment that the spirit was not right. Like it was said in a spirit of trying to be condemning. And so I didn't take that, but I did have another gentleman, and I'm going to share it because he wouldn't mind that I shared it. But in this high capacity leadership group that I'm doing with John Maxwell, when I released my book, I didn't really tell people, you know what I'm saying? I kind of just did it at the last minute. This was a kind of a personal group of whatever. And several were saying, we had no idea you were working on that because I didn't share it.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the gentlemen, he texted me and he said, Asbel, I cannot believe you did not tell anybody about your book. And I said, well, I just didn't want it to seem like I'm talking about myself or whatever like that. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, somebody told me this a long time ago. He said, sometimes it's, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said, it's could be rooted in pride.
Yeah.
He said, if you had discovered a cure for cancer and you did not go and tell people about that you had a cure for cancer, wouldn't that be selfish?
Yeah.
And when he said that to me, he said, if you've written a book that will help inspire other people to lead with grace, why wouldn't you share that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you share that with the masses? Because that is the message that we need. That pricked me. At first, I took I don't know if I took offense, but I'm like thinking, that's not what that was about. But the more I sat with it, I'm thinking, there is still pride that God is rooting out of my life. He did it again 2 or 3 weeks ago when I said, I'm not looking at it from a derogatory perspective of pride.
But I was going to say, is it really pride that we don't want to point people to us? I mean, is that really pride?
Well, I don't know if it's, that's what he said. If
it was all about you, I struggle with that.
If it was just all about you, the issue is your book was about principles of understanding and leading with grace. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pride is when, this is it. Pride, here's my definition of how I perceive pride. Pride is when it's of selfish intent.
Yeah.
Okay? What you're doing, it is selfish intent. It's look at me, look what I did, look how that is pride.
Yeah.
That is pride. Then there's subliminal pieces of pride. Okay? A haughty spirit. That would be a haughty spirit. The Bible says pride cometh before destruction.
Yeah.
A haughty spirit before a fall. So there is a difference between having a haughty spirit
and pride.
Because pride could come in the form of some false humility.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it destroys. It says destruction, meaning it destroys. A haughty spirit, you can fall and get back up again.
Yeah, that's true.
When you have pride in your life, it literally destroys.
Where would we say arrogance is in all of that? Because it's mixed in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a part of it. Like it's the intent of the heart. Yeah. And so this is why you have to pray for, because the heart is deceitful among all things. Yeah. The Bible talks about that. Our heart is deceitful.
When we become prideful, it's deceitful, we become arrogant, and we literally lose our sense of conviction and integrity. And that's what makes us fall.
Here's what I generally go to sincere. God, I want you to root it all out. Like, create in me a clean heart, Lord. The Bible says, when he was given the Sermon on the Mount, he said, blessed are the humble, for they shall inherit the earth. So humility.
Right.
Humility, though, is not saying I don't have boundaries, because the fruit of the Spirit is kindness. I was talking about this with someone. There's a difference between being kind and being nice. Nice can come across where you enable. Nice is a form of pride because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Why do you not want to hurt their feelings? Well, I don't want them to not like me. What's it about? Me. Pride is about me.
I don't know if that... We'll just have to agree to disagree on that, because the nice and kindness, I still don't understand. I think you can be both. But I get...
Well, kindness, when you actually research into what the difference between being nice and being kind is, Dr. Henry Cloud does some really good stuff on this. So there's actually a psychological piece to it. So when you understand the difference between... There's a reason why God doesn't say be nice in the Bible.
He talks about kindness.
Only kindness.
Well, I think nice is more of a modern-day word, too.
Nice is something like, well, be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice means I can still be kind and have a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes what we say is we don't say what needs to happen. Like, I'm irritated that you keep crossing my yard and your dog keeps pooping in my yard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just giving something funny and elementary.
But that would be you. No.
But I'm not going to be nice and just complain about it too. Like, I wish that dog would stop pooping in our yard, man. I'm stepping on it. It's getting all over me. Yeah. Being kind would say to the neighbor the next time they come in, I'd go out there and say, hey, do you mind if your dog poops in our yard that you pick it up after the dog finishes pooping? That is being kind. Yeah. Being nice is to be upset about it, but you never talk to the neighbor about it. So then what happens is you just start hoping that your cold shoulder or not talking to them gets your point across.
Well, that's just more like a passive-aggressive type thing. That's being nice, though. Yeah. Well, I guess I still don't see it, but that's okay.
That's the difference between it.
Yeah, I get it.
To understand
I get it.
A little research. Yeah. I mean, anybody, if you don't understand the difference between the two, go do a little bit of research. Thank God for all these AI. It'll help you understand the difference because it is a whole psychological.
No, I've seen it's a big thing right now because a lot of podcasts now it's always the word like don't talk about being vulnerable anymore. Talk about being available. Well, I think there's a huge difference, but now nice and kind is the new thing.
Well, I've been talking about it for years. Yeah. I don't pick up on a trend thing or whatever, but I've been talking about being kind, being nice.
It is popular right now.
Oh,
like
it is
a lot
popular
of people are talking
because
about
I think people are beginning to understand and what's happening. People are beginning to understand that maybe we're being too nice and not kind, and we've confused the two.
Yeah.
We've confused the two, so we've not set boundaries. And then what's happening in the world right now where everybody's being mean and nasty and calling people names. And it's like sometimes we just didn't want to get out there and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this is not how we raise our kids. You know, when all this stuff started back in 2013 and 2014, I didn't want to get caught up in all of the, like, who calls and sits and calls somebody name that you don't like. Like, you just start calling them names, and they're coming from leaders, politicians, religiously, like business. And like
it wasn't popular at one time.
No. 25 years ago, we were not doing this.
No.
But now we are. And some of us haven't. I mean, no, that is not right.
No, it's not.
We should not be. You do not call people names that you disagree with.
And you don't make fun of them. Stop making fun of people or making fun of their looks. I mean, I don't get it.
They don't speak like you. They don't talk like you. They don't act like you.
Yeah, they don't dress like you.
Who are we as a society?
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
No. Well, we don't, but it's everywhere.
But it is everywhere. But but kindness says this is not okay.
Yes, kindness says it's not okay.
Being nice says, I'm just not going to get into the argument or whatever. Because sometimes what we do is we pray for wisdom. God, pray for wisdom, seek knowledge so you can have understanding when to speak.
Right.
And when to be silent, when to use your platform to start speaking. I have felt 2026 is the year to start speaking. That's why I become more vocal. And that's what people are seeing. Like, you're everywhere. And, I have felt the release to start talking.
Yeah.
I have felt the release to start speaking. Speak the truth in love, seasoned with salt, seasoned with grace. Make your things tasty. Don't get out there and start talking when you're upset.
Right.
3 years ago, I would have been upset. 4 years ago, I would have been upset. And so what would have happened is you would have cast your pearl before swine, as the Bible says.
Well, and with that, you need to expect you're going to have pushback. You're going to have
and be okay with that.
And be okay with that. Because anytime I'm
okay with that now.
Anything, if I talk too much about compassion, because my dad was a man of compassion, people will try to, that's too much, And so you just have to be aware that people are going to come at you.
Well, they told Jesus that it was too much compassion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's to back to the topic, because I think that all is predicated on when do you know doors shut?
Oh, yeah, we got a little off.
Do you know what I'm saying, babe? Yeah. Because I've had to learn that the doors that I think should be opened are not the doors that God had for us.
Oh, yeah.
It is not.
Yeah.
A lot of the doors that we thought.
Yeah. That I had prayed for.
Those were not the doors.
They were not the doors. So now when I pray, my mom always says, be specific, make your petitions known. But now I'm always like, God, but she used to always say, but your will be done. You see the end. You see the beginning. So that's what I do now. Even I'll be God, I want this. This is something I desire so much, but you know if this is good for me, if this is right for me. And that's the thing. I think sometimes we want something so bad, so that's why it hurts so bad. Or if you're wanting a promotion, you're working hard for a promotion, you've been hustling, you put the work in, and then they overstep you and they give it to someone else. That is painful. But to someone that's going through that right now, there's something else for you, something better for you.
Well, what you have to do is you have to look and see, I planned it all out in my mind. I made my petitions known, but I'm always reflecting.
Yeah.
Okay, God, what are you teaching me through this process?
What are you teaching me?
What this happened for a reason, and it's a lesson.
Yeah.
What is the lesson that I am learning? Because everything we go through is a lesson. It's a lesson of things to do.
Yeah.
In the future, and it's a lesson of things not to do. in the future.
This last thing that just happened to me with the publishing, God taught me, stop putting your eggs all in one basket. We're going to create some more baskets for you. So that's been
He's
really
going to multiply that.
He's going to multiply. And the funny thing is when I do ministry a lot, every time I speak, I'll tell women all the time, you got to stop saying this is the way I've always done it, because God may be trying to, move you out of that. I've always said that, and here I am eating that now. Literally, I was like thinking that, okay, I'm having to practice what I've always preached.
And that's the hardest part.
It's the hardest
because people learn, we learn. It's the way that I am. If you've not been where I've been, I might listen to what you have to say, but I'm not going to take and consume too much of it. I'm going to look at it and say, that seems practical, but you know what? They've never been there, so let me go to someone who's been there.
The experience.
Yeah, the experience is what I'm really paying attention to. Now, I like academia. I have a lot of friends at academia, but sometimes I'm like thinking, that sounds good in the world that you created in your mind, but practically putting that in place, like as a business owner, as someone that signs the front of paychecks, that's not real world practical. Like, and I deal with this on politics. I'm like, what are you, academia, or have you ever done this in the real world? I'll ask them. I have no problem. No, it's only, okay, great. That gives me the frame of reference. I like what you're thinking. Yeah. However, that's not really world practical. So let's figure out how we can take the real world practicality to what you learned in Harvard or Yale at some Ivy League school, because I have a lot of Ivy League school friends, and they can put all the data together. They can put all the algorithms together.
Smart.
They can put they're smart as whips.
Yeah.
But like I used to tell some of my friends, like, you're so smart, you're of no practical good. So how can we move both together to take what you've learned in academia to what we've learned in the real world of implementing this, and how can I merge the two together? Because I can learn something from everyone. The problem that we're at in the United States is we stop learning. We think my way is better than your way, and you think your way is better than our way, and we don't sit at the table anymore and have conversations.
No one will
it makes
listen
no
to each
sense
other.
to me. We don't listen to each other.
Literally, we put not just a boundary, we put a wall.
Yeah,
like instead of a boundary, it's a wall.
We've got to get back to that. There's a lot of us that are practical. We get that. I don't know everything. God help us. We don't know everything.
No,
we would not even be following Christ's example if we thought that.
Well, and sometimes I want to understand, how did this person get to where she or he is? What brought them here? What makes them think this way? I think sometimes that's important for us to understand.
So what I'm encouraging, if you've had doors closed, or if you've thought, I'm trying to prop doors open, because sometimes the things that are happening in our world today and where we're at is because we are trying to keep doors open that should be shut.
We're trying to force them.
Or we're trying to force doors open that are already shut. We've all done it.
The worst. Yeah.
And maybe you need a reset and rethink. God's doing something different. God may not heal this relationship that you've been praying for. Within your family, outside of you, he could be saying, because he knows the hearts of those people, they may not be ready for reconciliation. And you're praying constantly, God, bring reconciliation to this. Let God do what God does.
Well,
let God do what God does.
I prayed, I fasted that God would heal my first marriage, the abuse, all the abuse going on. It didn't happen. I didn't understand at first. But now I know God had something better. He was protecting me. Sometimes he's protecting us. So we have to look at that. That's great. That's great.
There's something going on right now with a family that's been on my heart for like the last few days since I've seen that. They're trying, thinking, maybe God doesn't want that record. He knows their heart right now. Mm-hmm. Give it up to them. Don't get in God's way.
Yeah.
Because he may have a different way.
Sometimes we can step in.
Sometimes he gives us the desires of our heart, but they were not meant for our heart.
Yeah.
But he gave him this desires because we prayed. I think about, what was it, Nehemiah that wanted 15 more years? What was the prophet? Hezekiah that wanted 15 more years of life, and the worst 15 years of it, God gave it to him.
Yeah.
But they were the worst 15 years of his life.
But God answered.
Yeah. So God will answer our prayers and give us the desires of our heart, but they may not be meant for us. That's why I'm like, there's so many examples in the Bible where people prayed for things and God gave it to them, and that was it was not what they thought it was going to be.
We should always pray, but your will be done, God. Well, the other
Your mom was wise.
My mom used
God,
to,
I'm making my petitions known, but God, let your will be done. If this is not meant, please do not open that door. Please don't open it.
I've already been through enough. I don't want to go through anything else. The other thing you kind of hit on, you talk about family. Sometimes we step in to open a door and help a family, and it's not right. the timing or it's just not the right door, we need to be cognizant. If we're trying to help someone, we need to make sure that we are also in alignment with what God is doing.
Well, make sure that that God has laid it on your heart to help.
To help.
Because sometimes, I learned this with Sierra, there's something, this is the difference between, it's like we want it so bad for them, but God saw the heart and he started teaching me lessons.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody telling me, Asbel, you will love her to death. And remember, God loves her so much that if he has to stop blessing you so you don't have the ability to get her out, he'll stop that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and it resonated with me thinking, my God, the blessings God has given to me that I'm using to help her, which is enabling a bad behavior, he loves her so much that he's going to say, I'm going to stop the spigot because I want her soul more than anything.
So we have to be careful.
We got to be careful. That's why he said pray. That's why the Bible says, pray for wisdom. I give it freely.
Yes.
Then go seek knowledge. Go seek knowledge. That means I'm going to study. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do whatever that I can. Go seek knowledge. And you couple that with the wisdom that only God can give. You have understanding how to make the next step.
And if you're struggling even there, seek an Eli out. Eli,
multitude of counsel. The Bible says the multitude of counsel.
And I think sometimes we don't do that because we, like you said, it's maybe pride. I don't want to ask anybody their opinion. But if you go to someone wise, someone who's prayerful, they can help guide you too.
And I always look and see, are the people around me telling me always what I want to hear?
Because they will.
Yeah. If they're always telling me what I want to hear, I don't want them speaking into my life because I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
So where are the people speaking into my life that said, Asbel, you probably knee-jerked and over-jerked on that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have handled it that way. That makes sense? Like, let me give you some constructive advice.
Well, it's going way back when I was done. We were done, and I was telling my mom, and she didn't I thought she would take my side because she knew what I had been through after all. But she didn't. She didn't take my side. She said no. And what if she would have petted me and said, oh, it's okay. You've been through so much, you can leave,
And we wouldn't be here today.
I wouldn't be here. But it's so true, the voices. And not a lot of times, but sometimes we have yes people and they're scared to ruffle our feathers.
And we don't even realize it. So you've got to get voices in your life who are willing to speak
and say,
truth to you, but kind, like people that you respect and whatever. I have those voices. There are some people I've moved out of my life because I love them, but they're not speaking into my life.
Sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, you may want to rethink this. Yeah. They can be real kind about it, but it's true.
Yeah. Wow. What a great topic.
Yeah. Really good.
What a great topic.
Really
Thank you for joining us. Hopefully something that we said today resonates with you. We're all on a learning journey.
Yes.
We're going to continue to learn. We're sharing it. That's why we're keeping this a cup of real.
Yes.
But talking about what we're going through.
Lots of real.
Yeah, we did. We had some lots of real today. We're just going to agree to disagree on certain things right now. But it's just...
That's our way of life.
Absolutely. I mean, if we agreed on everything, God help us as well.
We're in trouble.
Yeah. It makes it fun. Makes it a little spicy, too.
Yeah, spicy, sweet.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Have a good day.